Hey everyone, again, welcome to Mind Shift to Health and Wealth podcast. And today I have Ben as my guest, who is actually migrating to a different business from a very, very successful business he already has. And we'll get into that, all that stuff. But Ben, kind of share with, what you started with and what you're doing right now. And then we can talk about what you're shifting into. So kind of give you a history on the
Yeah.
success you've had so far.
Yeah. Perfect. First off, thanks for having me. Real excited to be here. Just a little brief background on me. I started down the path of being a doctor and quit that before I made it all the way to medical school. Then relocated to Arizona, started working for a corporate job down there. Hated that. So looked for a way out, and real estate was my way out. I started flipping a bunch of houses, wholesaling a bunch of properties. We're building new houses now. And I moved back to Kansas City, and we've done hundreds and hundreds of deals over the past 5-6 years. And now we're moving into some new ventures, buying businesses and building out other different kinds of businesses outside of real estate.
Awesome, Ben. So kind of getting into the real estate world, you started your corporate job. What kind of like got you into essential real estate at first?
Well, I think I Googled what makes the most real estate or what makes the most millionaires in the country, and real estate was number one on the list. So I dove into that rabbit hole of what's the best way to do this. Do I become a real estate agent? Do I somehow figure out how to invest? What do I invest in? Multifamily, single family? And then it came down to, well, it looks like the lowest barrier of entry is wholesaling property. So I started down that path and rode that for a while until I had enough capital to start flipping houses. And then we flipped a bunch of houses, and now we realized that we can build houses. So now we're building houses, and yeah, that was kind of the path. Trying to get my way out of corporate America.
Gotcha. Awesome. Question on your building. I just saw your post too, actually. Are you working with prefabricated homes and all that stuff? Kind of, would you like to share that a little bit? Like why?
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead, please.
So we saw a massive gap in the market where the price ranges of affordable housing, it's just a lot right now. Especially in Kansas City. It was like anything under about $300,000 was iffy housing. And then the stuff that was priced above 300,000, there was just this gap where there wasn't that much between the $200,000 and $300,000 range that was decent, and or new. It was all these old houses that were having to be rehabbed, and there was nothing like new on the market in that range. All the new builds were 300, 350 plus. So we started working with this builder who had come up with this design for these prefabbed houses that they're not completely prefab, but the exterior shell of them, we can have 3 of them up within a day after the concrete's poured. We can flip these walls up. It comes pallet packed. We flip these walls up, throw the houses up, and then we can have them from poured concrete to completed house in about 90 to 100 days.
Okay. And then the cost factor, is that like significantly reduced because of that, or?
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously with cost of money, we're paying an investor to lend us the funds to be able to complete the projects. So when we complete them in 90 days, it saves us a bunch on the cost of money side of things. And then on the actual building, we can build these things for about $140,000 to $150,000. And then we can sell them for anywhere between $230,000 and $250,000.
That's awesome. Is that like, Ben, is that only in, I guess, Kansas City, or are you guys, kind of migrating it to other cities? People can contact you about that. What's the deal there?
We haven't looked at an expansion plan on that side of things yet. We're mainly focused in specific areas of our market. And this is so new. We just started this back in 2023. So we're so new into this that it's like, well, we might as well figure out how many of these we can build here, and then figure out if there's a way that we can take the model and move it to other markets, give it to other people, have them maybe partner with them in some facet.
Gotcha. Awesome. Okay. I'm sure that there would be those questions if people
Yeah.
heard this and like, oh, this seems interesting. All right,
Sure.
let's get into your new venture, right? Kind of
Yeah.
share first of all, what is it you're migrating into apart from, obviously you're not leaving the real estate, but you're also creating new businesses. So kind of
Yep.
share in as much, I guess, detail you want to share, and
Sure.
then we'll go from there.
Yeah. So it kind of started just like any other great venture. You see a post on Instagram. So I was scrolling through one day and I saw a couple people that were buying businesses, buying cash flowing businesses. And I'm like, well, why don't we try to do that? We have this real estate entity that we've kind of built into a sustainable model that I don't have to be involved in every day on the acquisitions and the regular residential real estate side. We have the builder who runs all the other stuff on the new build side. I kind of wanted a new project. So I saw this thing and reached out to this guy that was buying businesses. He bought like 6 or 7 businesses in a year. And they were cash flowing. He was making hundreds of thousands of dollars. So reached out to him, started having a conversation with him, and he basically taught us how to buy businesses. So our first acquisition was a security company that we acquired and basically partnered with the owner. Cash flowing business, kicks off $15,000-$20,000 a month. And we just gave him a salary, worked with him in setting up the contracts and all that kind of stuff, which is simple. Then we started figuring out, well, if we can do that, why don't we just add more pieces that support the real estate side of things? So at the beginning of 2024, closing on a painting company that kicks off $17,000 to $20,000 a month too. So these things are just cash flowing businesses that for one reason or the other, the owner either doesn't want to manage the stuff that he doesn't like with the security company. He didn't like the payroll. He didn't like managing employees. He didn't like figuring out the QuickBooks and the marketing and all that stuff. He just liked to sell and he liked to talk to people. So like, well, we'll take that piece over for you and then give you the salary and just continue to grow it as best as we can. And then with the painting company, the guy actually is moving to a different state and he needed to liquidate because he had to move quick. So kind of like what we see on the residential side of things, we find sellers that are, for whatever reason or another, they need to sell a property. It's the same thing with businesses. So we took all of our expertise in the real estate side and just moved it over to this. And now we have an outreach model that we're going to continue to grow in 2024 and beyond.
Awesome. Well, I mean, this goes back to, seems like everything relates to real estate for you.
Yeah.
Learning from their lessons. I know you said you started with wholesale, and then obviously you made a shift to investing. It kind of makes sense there, but the key thing here seems like building teams and systems and all that stuff. Kind of share that shift, like when that shifted for you, where you learned that and why it became so effective that now you're able to essentially even acquire businesses in the similar kind of model.
Yeah, I mean, just like anything else, it's a ton of trial and error. And there's so many things that you see online that's like the get rich quick. You do these 3 things and you'll make $1 million this year. It's just not reality. Unless you get super lucky, it's just not going to happen that way. You got to go through failure after failure after failure until you're finally starting to realize, okay, I made that mistake already. I'm not going to make that mistake again. I made that mistake already. Let's not do that again. So we just went through trial and error of hiring, of marketing, of all of the pieces of a business until we started to find some things that stuck and that we iterated on and made them much better than we initially had it. And now we can just take all those pieces that we've built for the one company and just kind of shift them to where they fit into every other company that we buy. So that shift isn't something that comes like overnight. It takes years and years and years of just constantly working and constantly just keeping your head down and plowing through things when you see all these things online that say get rich in 5 days. you just got to drown out all that noise and know that it's going to take a little bit longer.
That's an awesome I guess, there's something I was going to ask end of the interview about a tip, but this could be a good tip for people. Like, it's not I mean, yeah, I guess, so somebody else says this, but it's a journey, never the destination. So
Yeah.
you're constantly learning. So that's a great way to put it, Ben. So with that being said, now you're into this venture, acquiring businesses. Where is it that people can reach out to you? Perhaps investors, perhaps people want to learn from you, whatever
Yeah.
the case is. What is it you're offering for people on that end? Like, what are the different or avenues that you can help them?
Yeah. So I've focused a lot in 2023 on putting out as much free content as I can. So my
Mhm.
page is just full on Instagram and Facebook. It's full of just as much of the things that I can extract out of my brain and put into a video format as possible. So I've really focused on trying to provide a ton of value that way. I don't know what that looks like as far as we don't sell anything that teaches anybody that stuff. It's
Right.
just here's all the information. If you need help, reach out to me. Maybe we can work together and partner on something in the future. We've kind of built our businesses to where we now have the cash to be able to invest in different things. So if somebody has a business that they want some advice on, and we may be able to partner with them and provide the financing, down payment, whatever that looks like. We now have built our brand to a spot where we can do those kinds of things. So the free content is just free content. Consume as much as you want. I'm not planning on slowing down. I'm actually planning on increasing those numbers in 2024. So I just want people to be able to get to a spot like this. It takes such a long time, and I want to be able to take the things that I've learned and help cut down that learning curve for people, because I paid a lot of stupid tax when I first started in all of these businesses. So if you can cut down on your stupid tax and not have to pay as much as I did, awesome. Then I've been successful in creating the content that I wanted to put out there for people.
Awesome. So I'll be posting, whatever information I have of Ben, his social media, website, business pages, whatever I get. So I'll be posting. So reach out to him, like you said, and I obviously follow his Instagram or whatever accounts, maybe TikTok too. I don't know. I didn't ask
I've
that.
got TikTok too.
Okay,
We've
TikTok
got
too.
all of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's got all of them. I'm not in TikTok yet. I might have to get into TikTok. But yeah, reach out to him. So awesome, Ben. With that being said, now obviously you're doing multiple things now. You had a lot of success in life. So what is inspiring you now to continue reach higher heights?
I think it's what we just talked about. It's being able to provide that value to people who were in my shoes, or who were in my shoes where I was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, however long ago. Man, I wish that Instagram and YouTube and TikTok and all these things had this much information back then when I was trying to get into it. I'm sure we all do. It would have significantly cut down the time. But I I get excited by things like this, by new projects, by going and buying new businesses, making them work, and then being able to share that story with as many people as possible. So I want to continue to do things like this, meet people like you, and have these conversations to where I can grow my network, you can grow your network, and we can continue to provide as much value as we possibly can to not only each other, but all the viewers that are watching, and everybody that's listening in.
Awesome. Well, then we come down to the last question. What's the one tip you had? Shared a tip, which I kind of mentioned, like, hey, that's a great tip. But
Yeah.
what's the tip other than that that can help others, that has helped you in your journey? Personal, professional, doesn't matter. One tip you can share.
Yeah, I think there's two things that I'll share. One is it's so easy to get caught in fads, like to see something on some sort of a platform and then to go dive hot and heavy into it. And when things get hard, you quit.
Ah,
You have to pick something and focus on it and continue to grind through that and get to a point where you've gotten over that hill. It's too easy to bounce around between different things because you see one thing pop up and it looks like a shiny object. So you go dive into that, and then, oh, well, it didn't work out the way that I thought it was going to in the time frame that I had in my mind. So you move to the next thing. And you never really get anywhere because you're just constantly bouncing from thing to thing. So if I could give a piece of advice, it'd be one, focus on something, regardless of what it is. Just put focused energy and effort into it more than a couple months. And then the second thing that I'll say is along those lines. I heard a quote a long time ago that's really stuck with me. It goes something along the lines of, on the path to success, you're going to see the skeletons of the people who didn't quite have what it took to get there. So keep walking that path. You're going to see all of these people that didn't get there because they couldn't stick with it for whatever reason. Stick with it. Just keep fighting, keep doing as much as you possibly can to move down that direction towards the path to success. And it's a numbers game. You'll inevitably get there if you continue to stick with something. So I think that's something that I wish I would have heard a long time ago, because I did do that in the beginning. I bounced around between a million different things. Drop shipping was cool back then, and whatever, all of these other get rich quick things. And I never really stuck with any of them until I got to real estate, and I dove into it and spent a ton of time, and now we're here.
Awesome. You know, that has led to you to now acquiring businesses.
Yeah.
On what else it might lead to, because the success you had in one. Awesome tip. You know, this is something I guess Napoleon Hill shared. You are never, or something like this. Yeah. Man, you know, if you're not defeated unless you accept it in your mind, something like that.
Yep.
You know, so the only time you get defeated is if you accept the defeat, right? So awesome tip again, Ben. Like I said, I'll be sharing all the social media info. Reach out to him. I don't know if I'll post on TikTok yet. Maybe by this time, you know, I might post it on TikTok too.
There you go. Love it.
But I'll on Instagram and everywhere else, I'll be sharing on my podcast. Obviously, there'll be links for Ben's info. Reach out to him and, you know, see if you would like to work with him or get information from him. Like you
Just
said.
reach out. I'm happy to talk to anybody.
Thank you. Thanks again for taking the time, Ben.
Thank you. We'll talk.